There's a quiet force that moves beneath the surface of attraction. Something deeper than charm, more lasting than appearance, and far more magnetic than words. And often, that is the reason younger women find themselves chasing a man who's older, more grounded, more composed. But let's make something very clear from the beginning. It's not about the number of candles on his birthday cake. It's about the fire in his soul, the steadiness in his voice, the experience behind his eyes. Younger women aren't chasing an older guy because he's old. They're chasing the qualities that maturity has given him. And these qualities, they're not exclusive to age. They're a result of awareness, intention, and a man's willingness to grow into his power. So today, let's break down 5 of the most powerful traits that younger women are instinctively drawn to in older men, and more importantly, how any man can cultivate them. 1. He has an unshakable presence. Presence isn't just about showing up. It's about how you show up. When an older man walks into a room, he doesn't need to announce himself. His presence speaks louder than words. He listens more than he talks. He observes more than he reacts. And when he speaks, every word feels intentional. This kind of man doesn't fidget. He doesn't need to prove himself. He doesn't need to dominate the space. He becomes the space. That stillness, that's what women feel safe around. That's what they're drawn to, because presence creates security, and security allows trust. Younger women, who often live in a world of constant distraction, find sanctuary in a man who is rooted, who sees her, hears her, and isn't elsewhere in his mind. Presence says, I'm here with you, not to fix you, not to control you, just to witness you. That in itself is powerful beyond measure. 2. He has mastered his emotions, not suppressed them. Let's get this straight. Real strength isn't found in emotional detachment. It's found in emotional mastery. An older man isn't afraid of emotions, his or hers. He doesn't crumble under the weight of conflict. He doesn't deflect vulnerability with jokes. He doesn't ghost, avoid, or shut down when things get uncomfortable. He leans in. He's been through heartbreak. He's experienced loss. He's seen both joy and grief up close. And because of that, he can hold space for her when she's going through something. He doesn't get defensive. He doesn't make it about him. He understands that emotions are not problems to be solved, but waves to be surfed, signals to be interpreted. Emotional intelligence is attractive because it builds safety, and safety isn't boring. It's sexy. Younger women admire a man who's emotionally stable, not because he's cold, but because he's warm without burning out. 3. He has stories, wisdom, and depth an older man has lived. He's failed, he's succeeded, he's gotten lost. He's found himself again, and all of that turns into wisdom. When a younger woman sits with a man who's lived fully, she doesn't just see his past. She sees her future. She sees a man who can guide, not control, who can suggest without imposing, who can inspire without pressuring. And make no mistake, this isn't about being a teacher or a mentor. It's about being a mirror. His stories reflect her potential. His perspective opens her eyes. His failures give her permission to stumble and still rise. She sees that growth doesn't stop with youth, it evolves. In a world obsessed with instant answers, she's drawn to a man who's taken the long way and learned from it, who doesn't just quote wisdom, but embodies it. 4. He knows where he's going, and he doesn't need permission to go there. Direction is intoxicating, not because it promises a perfect future, but because it shows a man has intention. Younger women chase men who have a vision, not just for their career, but for their life. A man who doesn't wait for things to happen, but creates what he wants. A man who doesn't need constant reassurance because he's already decided who he is. This kind of man doesn't chase trends. He doesn't seek validation. He walks his own path. And the truth is, when a man knows his mission, when he's aligned with his purpose, everything else falls into place. including attraction, because a woman wants to feel like she's part of a journey, not a detour. She doesn't want to drag a man forward. She wants to walk beside someone who's already moving. His direction gives her freedom. His leadership invites trust. His ambition tempered with integrity is magnetic. 5. He has calm masculinity, not fragile ego. We're not talking about dominance here. We're talking about a masculinity that doesn't flinch, a calm, composed strength that doesn't need to be loud to be respected. This is the kind of masculinity that nurtures rather than conquers, that protects without controlling, that uplifts instead of intimidating. An older man, secure in himself, doesn't get jealous over attention. He doesn't feel threatened by a strong woman. He celebrates her fire, because his fire is already burning steady. Younger women are tired of boys who crumble when challenged. They crave the man who remains calm in chaos, who doesn't react with ego, but responds with clarity. His masculinity isn't a mask. It's a grounded force. It doesn't pretend. It just is. And here's the beautiful truth. Calm masculinity isn't learned through books or bravado. It's forged in silence, self-respect, and discipline. So now you know, it's not about having gray hair. It's about having gray wisdom. It's not about being older. It's about being wiser. It's not about the years you've lived, but how deeply you've lived them. Younger women don't want a man who's perfect. They want a man who's present. They're not chasing a savior. They're seeking substance, and that substance, that depth, stability, and power, it comes when a man commits to becoming the most whole version of himself. And here's what's even more powerful. You don't need to wait to become that man. You don't need to age to gain these qualities. You can start building them now. Start showing up with presence. Start owning your emotions instead of running from them. Start turning your experiences into wisdom. Start living your life with direction. Start cultivating a masculinity that's calm, quiet, and untouchable. The truth is, the world doesn't need more charming boys. It needs powerful men, men who have done the inner work. Men who stand tall in storms, men who love without losing themselves, men who lead without forcing control. That's the man she chases. That's the man she trusts. That's the man she remembers. So if you're listening to this thinking, I'm not there yet, good, that means you're aware, and awareness is the first step toward power. You can build every one of these traits. One day at a time, one decision at a time, one moment of presence at a time. You don't have to be older. You have to be awake. That's the edge. That's the secret. And that's the man who changes not just how women see him, but how he sees himself. So stand up, step into your becoming. Because she's not chasing your age, she's chasing the man you have the power to become, starting now. Younger women are increasingly drawn to emotional maturity, wisdom, and confidence that older men carry, not because of age, but because of the energy they exude. It's not the wrinkles on his skin or the salt in his beard that captivate her. It's the quiet certainty he moves with. It's the calm in his voice, the depth in his silence, the way he doesn't scramble to be noticed. She's not chasing years, she's chasing stability. She's not seduced by status, she's drawn to substance. You see, in a world filled with loud distractions and shallow impressions, there's something irresistible about a man who doesn't try too hard, who's not playing a role but living his truth. That kind of grounded energy, where nothing needs to be forced, nothing needs to be proved, creates a gravitational pull. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's undeniable, and emotional maturity, that's a rare treasure today. It's the ability to respond instead of react, to stay soft without collapsing, to listen without needing to fix. When a woman feels this, she knows she's not with a boy who needs her to validate his worth. She's with a man who already knows who he is. Wisdom doesn't just show up in what he says. It shows up in what he doesn't say, in the way he lets silence speak, in the patience he shows when others rush, in how he turns pain into perspective. She feels safe not because he shelters her from life, but because he's walked through life and came out more open, not more guarded. And confidence, it's not about arrogance, it's about alignment. It's when a man doesn't need approval to take a step, when he trusts his own voice more than the noise of the crowd. That inner confidence tells her, I've been through fire, and I didn't lose myself in the flames. That's what pulls her in. Not his age, but his essence. Not the past behind him, but the presence within him. She's not chasing older men. She's chasing the energy of a man who's done the inner work, and that energy, it doesn't come from time. It comes from transformation. The 5 core qualities that make older men so attractive are unwavering presence, emotional intelligence, life experience, a sense of direction, and calm masculinity. These aren't just traits, they are frequencies a man emits. And when a woman feels them, she instinctively knows this man is different. It's not something he says to impress. It's who he is when no one is watching. Unwavering presence is the first thing she feels. In a world full of half-hearted attention and constant distraction, a man who is fully here, not on his phone, not looking around, not rushing through the moment, is rare. His eyes meet hers, not to control, but to connect. His silence isn't empty, it's anchored. His attention doesn't wander, because he's not waiting for something better. He's chosen to be present, and presence, real presence, makes her feel seen, not scanned. It tells her she matters. Then comes emotional intelligence. This man doesn't shut down when things get deep. He doesn't panic when she cries. He doesn't label feelings as weakness. He understands that emotions are part of the human experience, not something to fear, but something to honor. He can hold space without trying to fix. He can feel his own anger without becoming destructive. He can express vulnerability without shame. And that makes him safe. Not soft, safe, and let's talk about life experience. He's been through storms. He's made mistakes. He's taken risks, lost, learned, and evolved. His depth doesn't come from theory. It comes from trial and transformation. His stories aren't there to impress, their windows into his soul. And she doesn't just hear about where he's been. She senses how deeply he's grown from it. That makes him wise, not just knowledgeable, wise. The 4th quality is direction. He's not just floating through life. He knows who he is, where he's headed, and what matters to him. He doesn't need to convince anyone to follow him. His clarity leads the way. Whether it's his career, his values, or his vision, there's movement in him. He's not static. He's intentional. And that direction gives her something rare, a sense of security, a feeling that she can walk beside him, not carry him. And finally, calm masculinity. He doesn't need to puff his chest or dominate the room. His power is silent, grounded, and felt. He doesn't see strength as control, he sees it as presence under pressure. He protects, not by force, but by peace. He's firm, but never harsh. He doesn't compete with her light. He amplifies it, because his masculinity isn't fragile, it's centered. These 5 qualities combined create a magnetic energy. It's not loud, but it's impossible to ignore. And it's why younger women find themselves chasing a man like this, not for the number of years he's lived, but for the depth he's developed. These aren't just traits of an older man. These are the qualities of a king. And every man, regardless of age, has the power to embody them if he chooses to grow. These traits represent not just what a man has, but who he chooses to become. And that's the most empowering truth of all, because this isn't about luck, genetics, or the passing of time. This is about intention. It's about the man who decides to rise, the man who stops waiting to become something someday and starts becoming someone today. You don't need to wait until your hair grays or your resume grows to develop presence. You can practice showing up fully now by putting down distractions, by truly listening, by honoring every conversation like it matters. Because it does. You don't need 1,000 emotional scars to gain emotional intelligence. You just need the courage to feel. To stop running from discomfort and start asking what it's trying to teach you. To hold space for your own emotions without shame, and hers without judgment. You don't need decades of experience to gain wisdom. You need reflection. Every setback, every failure, every disappointment holds a lesson, but only for the man willing to look inward and ask, "What is this here to teach me?" You don't need a perfect plan to walk with direction. You need clarity. What are your values? What are you building? What matters most to you? And are your actions aligned with it? A man with direction doesn't have it all figured out. He simply refuses to drift. And you don't need external validation to own calm masculinity. You only need to come home to yourself. To stop reacting to every challenge as a threat. To stop letting ego run the show. Real strength is quiet. Real power is peace. These traits are not reserved for the older a man. They are the birthright of any man who decides to do the work. You can start today with one act of presence, one moment of self-reflection, one brave choice to feel instead of numb, one step in the direction of your purpose, one moment of grounded strength. It's not about age, it's about awareness. It's not about time, it's about transformation. Every man has access to this path. Every man has the power to evolve. And when he does, he doesn't just become attractive to others. He becomes unshakably magnetic to himself. That's where real confidence comes from, not from the mirror, but from within. Not from attention, but from alignment. Not from pretending to be more, but from daring to be real. So don't wait for age to shape you. Let your choices do it. Because the man she chases is the man you can choose to become starting now.